There we go. Got it. Okay. As a preliminary matter, as I've been reminded rather, is that both Zoom is recording this matter as well as our court reporter, Mr. Kelly. Preliminary matter, we've had all of you muted principally because we need to cut down on the potential for distractions from uh, background noise, etc. We'd ask you to pay close attention as we call the cases. And if during a preliminary review of cases, your matter is noted as moot or moot complied, that means that you're done for today. You excuse, you may leave. If you need an explanation beyond what's said, please call the administrator. Please do not break into the hearing because we have a list to complete and we want to get through it. So call the administrator's number that's on your letter inviting you to today and ask for an explanation of moot or moot complied. Secondly, this is a formal hearing, so I expect everyone who participates would be appropriate in their dress and their activity and their response. No eating or drinking, and you must be dressed properly. No lounging in bed or in your lounge chair. This is not a casual conversation. This is a formal hearing that can have very serious impacts on your property. Okay? And so the board and the panel will introduce itself, after which we will hear from the city of Philadelphia for a list of cases that may have been resolved or they're considering continuous requests. Thank you very much. Let's get started. Kenneth Woodson, board chair.
Ralph Pincus, board member.
Roger S. Tennant, senior board member.
Ken Washington, board member.
Cortez Patton, board member.
Okay. I think our counsel, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hillary Emerson, board counsel.
Richard Wade, board administrator.
Okay, thank you very much. Who's representing the city today to provide the preliminary list?
Good afternoon, board members. Jim Kelly here on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kelly.
So I'll start. Miss Athanasiadis had sent over the first two, which are water cases. That I'll just be reading those as well.
Okay.
So the first one is number 1, HA 2023-002358, 6334 Sylvester Street, AML Investments LLC. That's moot.
Moot. Okay. Thank you.
And number 2, HA 2023-002479, 4943 Locust Street, Christelle Coleman, moot.
Moot. Thank you.
Number 3, HA 2022-004684, 2901 North 27th Street. I believe that I'm not sure if he's on the call, but Mr. McCreesh had requested a continuance that the city does not oppose.
Yes, I am
Mr.
on the
McCreesh?
call. I did ask for a continuance. My client's out of town out of the country until November 5th.
Okay. All right, Mr. McCreesh, just need you to formally put your name on the record for representing.
Okay, I'm sorry. John McCreesh the fourth, attorney representing 2901 North 21 not North 27th Street. It's HA-2022-004684.
Thank you. Okay, is this the first continuous request for this matter?
I think it's the second. We were and I think I'm going to withdraw this case, but I haven't been able to talk to my client because she lost the common pleas decision on a similar issue for a prior year. So I think this is going to become moot, but I just want to make sure my client to have her approval before I withdraw.
Okay, let's do this though. I'm adding the requirement that it must be heard if it comes back.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Kelly.
The next one that I have is actually number 14, HA 2022-003894, 19 East Shelton Ave, Yolanda and William Blackwell. There's actually an agreement with Mr. DeTomo on that case for a city affirm with a 45-day stay of enforcement.
Okay. Ready. And is there Mr. DeTomo present? He is not present.
I believe I had seen him a moment ago.
There's a phone down there, but there's no picture.
Oh yeah, there's a phone. Well, let's proceed with it anyway.
Mr. Chairman, I see a picture on my screen of Joseph DeTomo Jr. and I even see his lips moving, but I'm not hearing anything.
Is he muted, Mr. Wade?
Forgive the interruption. Mr. DeTomo was having connection issues on the video call, so he called in on a separate landline, which is the call at the bottom.
Okay, and then that's noted as muted, so he needs to unmute that one so we can hear him.
I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Try to.
Mr. Moto, if you could ask him to unmute himself.
On his phone.
Yes.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mr. Demoto, I just need you to put your name on the record, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Joseph L. DeTomo Jr.
Okay, and do you can you confirm, in fact, the agreement that was put on the record by the city affirmed 45 days stay?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I can confirm that.
Pull the board, HA-2022-003894, 19 East Shelton Avenue, Yolanda and William Blackwell. City affirmed per agreement, 45-day stay of
City
enforcement.
affirmed per agreement, 45-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed per the agreement with the 45-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed per agreement with a 45-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed per agreement, 45-day stay of enforcement.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Kelly, anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Have a good
So-
afternoon. Your excuse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Those are all of the moots or continuances that I have. I did just want to note for the board, number 16, HA 2023-001241, 5456 Erdrich Street Community Mini Market. That case has been continued twice, once for an interpreter and another time for a lack of an attorney. To my knowledge, no attorney has been entered, and I just sort of wanted to see if we could check the status of that. I understand towards the
Okay.
bottom of the list, and I don't want the interpreter to be stuck here all day.
Correct. Do we have the Spanish interpreter present?
Yes, this is the interpreter speaking.
Okay, sir, would you put your name on the record, please?
Yes, my name is Stephen Aubain, and the last name is spelled Aubain.
Mr. Aubain, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Sir, do you swear to faithfully translate between English and Spanish to English the proceedings in this matter regarding 5456 Erdrich Street?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. What we're going to do, Mr. Aubain, in city, we're going to call this case and see who responds. And I'd like whoever's on the record for the city to respond. So, Mr. Wade, would you call it in, please?
This is case number 16, hearing appeal HA 2023-001241, 5456 Erdrich Community Mini Mart.
Okay, Mr.
Market.
Aubain.
Y así que quisiera llamar al caso HA 2023-001241 en la calle de 5456 Erdrich Street. And the interpreter requires verification. What was the name of the store again?
Community Mini Mart. Yeah, Community Mini Market, I apologize.
Y la tienda se llama Community Mini Market. Si está presente, por favor, venga a la línea.
Okay, anyone responding to that?
Yeah.
Hola, hola.
And someone responded.
Okay. Would you inquire, Mr. Interpreter, the name of that person and his relationship to this project?
Así que, ¿cuál es su nombre y su relación a este proyecto?
Mi nombre es Miguel Ángel Núñez. Mi relación al proyecto es porque quiero que me restablezcan mi licencia de nuevo para atrás, ya que la tengo retenida porque tuve unos tickets infraulentos.
Permítame.
Recuperarla.
Permítame. So my name is Miguel Angel Nunez, and I am here because I want to reestablish my licensing because I got a ticket and I haven't been able to function.
Okay, I need to know if he's the owner of the mini market. And is he also the person who submitted the appeal?
Y usted es el dueño del mini market y usted fue el que hizo la apelación.
Sí, señor. Yo soy el dueño, el presidente de la corporación. Sí, señor.
Yes, I am the owner and the president of the corporation.
Okay, well, in that instance, we will call your case in order. Just we need to make sure that you were present. Also, will you have a lawyer representing you today?
Así que pues, queríamos asegurarnos que estuviera presente y vamos a llamar su caso en orden. ¿Usted tiene un abogado representándolo?
Sí, señor.
Yes, I do.
Does he have a lawyer with him?
¿Y tiene el abogado ahí con usted?
Sí, señor.
Yes.
I'd like that lawyer to go on the record. I need to see his face and hear his voice.
Así que necesito hablar y ver la cara del abogado.
If I may be heard?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Vaccaro, attorney ID 83366 on the matter of Community Mini Market.
Oh, perfect, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your name wasn't had not been entered, so we didn't know you were representing the appellant.
Right, and Mr. Chairman and members of the board and council for the city, I only started discussing this matter with this gentleman only today, so I would ask for a continuance so that I could further review this matter and be formally retained and discuss
Okay.
this matter with the city.
Okay,
So this
now-
would be a request for a continuance.
Okay, I will hear from the city on this request. Be aware, Mr. Vaccaro, this is the third time we've had to hear this matter, and it's been continued multiple times. So
I understand.
let me hear from the city. Who's represent? And just one matter, Mr. Albany, please interpret everything that's said.
Yes.
So
Así
I
que
need- yeah.
solo para dejarles saber, le está pidiendo a los miembros de la Junta para ver si pueden dar continuar el caso para otra fecha debido a que esta es la primera vez que el abogado ha hablado con el apelante. Así que van a preguntarle ahora a la ciudad para ver cómo quieren proceder debido a que esta es la tercera vez.
Who's representing the city?
Good
¿Quién está
afternoon.
representando a la ciudad?
Good afternoon, Jim Kelly on behalf of the city.
Así que es Jim Kelly de la ciudad.
Mr. Kelly, what is your response to the request by the appellant for a continuance?
¿Y cuál es la respuesta de usted del pedido de continuar el caso?
Sure. So the city, I mean, granted, given that it is the third continuance request or a third continuance that would be occurring, I mean, we would object to that, but I understand if Mr. Vaccaro has just been retained today, we would at least ask that it be marked as must be tried and potentially listed first, just given the interpreter, if the continuance is to be granted.
Así que viendo que esta es la tercera vez que han hecho una continuanza, así que la ciudad prefiere que lo tuvieran ahora, pero viendo que esta es la primera vez que ha hablado con que el abogado Vaccaro ha hablado con el apelante, and the interpreter requires verification. You said that how would you like to continue? I'm sorry.
I was just saying that the city would ask for this to be dismissed, but I understand that if Mr. Vaccaro was just retained today, if it's going to be continued, we would just ask that it be marked must be tried.
Así que normalmente hubiera pedido que hubieran seguido con el caso, pero viendo que el señor Vaccaro solamente habló con la persona el día de hoy, quiere marcarlo como necesita ser tratado.
So we have no objection to a must be tried.
Y no tenemos objetivo con el no tratar.
Okay. It's the decision of the chair and the board to continue this matter with a must be tried requirement in the next hearing.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to discuss the late issue.
I will note just for a moment, interpreter.
Así que nosotros queremos ver si podemos continuar el caso con el señalando que debería de ser tratado.
Mr. Vaccaro, there is a important matter here of timeliness. And so look at this. It may, in fact, when it comes back, be dismissed for lack of appropriate filing within the timeliness requirement. Please.
Así que viendo que este caso es estamos en tiempo corto con este caso, pudiera ser quitado debido a que no fue llenado en el tiempo apropiado.
Thank you. Because be prepared to argue that issue when it comes back.
Así que esté preparado de argumentar ese caso cuando regrese para atrás.
Thank you. It's noticed. Continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Así que lo han notado como lo van a continuar el caso después.
Okay. Mr. Christopher Johnson.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the board. I'd just like
Oh,
to.
Mr. Johnson, please excuse me for cutting you off, but Mr. Arbane, I believe that's all we have for you today. Mr. Wade, is there anything else that we need from Mr. Arbane?
Not at this time. Not
Okay,
today.
Mr. Arbane, have a good day.
And this is the interpreter speaking. Would you like me to reinform the other party that that the case has been continued again?
Yes, and he's excused to leave.
Así que, señor, ya el caso ha sido continuado para otra fecha y está libre para irse.
Mr. Arbane, would you also add, his lawyer is aware, but the chair of the board has announced that at the next hearing, it must be heard, it must be presented for us to consider, or it will be dismissed.
Y solo para dejarles saber que ya su abogado sabe esto, pero para la próxima audiencia, este caso tiene que ser visto, si no, va a ser negado, quitado.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right, thank you for using our service. Interpreter disconnecting.
Okay. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I'd like to raise a preliminary matter with the board with regard to the appeal of HD Builders, Gilad Bergeron. And again, this is number 12 on the list, appeal HA 2023-002466, 1716 Annan Street. The attorney that they retained to represent that matter was not available for the hearing this afternoon and reached out to the board earlier today in order to continue the case. Was that continued?
Well, we were waiting to hear from the city's response to that request.
The city does not oppose a brief continuance, and I believe that there may be a discussion regarding settlement that may occur before the next listing.
Okay, who's the attorney of record for the appellant?
Vincent Melchior.
Is he here today? Do you know?
No, he was unavailable for the hearing.
Okay. All right. We will note it as continued request by the appellant.
Thank you so much. So HD Builder can we can
ma'am, you can't speak unless we know who you are. And so you're speaking out of turn because this is the court reporter doesn't have an idea who you are. So please just don't speak up, okay? All right, thank you. And you haven't been sworn, so we aren't going to take any testimony from you. So thank you for your appearance. You excused for today. Have a good day. All right. Anyone else have any questions or issues? Mr. Rory?
Hi, thank you, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter for the city of Philadelphia. First of all, earlier we sent an agreement to settle number 8 on the list. That's HA 2023-002319 for 54 East Pastoria Street. It's an AIU case for Turtle Insulation LLC. We have agreed to settle the matters with a city affirmed $500 on the fine.
Okay. The record indicates that Rachel Pritzer is the attorney representing the appellant. Is that person present?
She is not. The agreement was handled between myself and Brandon Savarin, who is also works with Ms. Pritzker at her office, and he signed that. And I told him that I didn't think he needed to be here since we have a signature, and the agreement was submitted to the board.
Okay, we will now call the poll the board on HA-2023-002319, 54 East Pastoria Street, Turtle Insulation. City affirmed per agreement, $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement, $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement, $500 fine.
Thank you very much. Anything else from anyone?
Yes, I have two other matters that are related.
Okay.
Number 6 on the list, HA 2022-004001. That's for 617 Queen Street. Max Silver doing business as Independence Construction. And the related case, number 7, HA 2022-003999 for 615 Queen Street, also Max Silver DBA Independence Construction. It is our understanding that, well, we needed clarification as to the nature of the business operated by Mr. Silver, whether it's an LLC or if it takes any corporate form, in which case he would need to be represented by an attorney, or if there is any attorney here today representing Mr. Silver and or Independence Construction.
Okay, Mr. Wade, what does the record indicate?
There was a withdrawal email sent to board's administration. I'm waiting to get that email to forward it to you, as well as the board itself.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Sent over shortly.
Are those for Mr. Wade? Are those for both cases?
Both cases.
Oh, excellent. Well, never mind.
Okay. The record should note that they both withdrawn.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
if I might get a copy of that also, just so we have that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, there's several matters that were raised in executive session that I just bring to your attention. Let's start with number 9, HA-2023-002293, 10 East Montgomery Avenue, Empire Home Remodeling LLC. Who's representing the city?
It's Chris Johnson.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson, and who is the appellant? Is anyone representing the Empire Home Remodeling present? Madam, you raise your hand. Your name?
My name is Marina Bobrovna. I'm owner of the company.
Okay. Would you spell your last name, please?
Bobrovna, Bobrovnania.
Okay. Is the company a corporation or LLC?
LLC.
Okay, ma'am. You need to have an attorney representing you before the board. Do you have an attorney today representing you?
No, I didn't know it. It's first
well, it's on the appeal letter that you received. There's clear language says you must be represented by an attorney. So we'll need to continue this until you can get an attorney. Mr. Johnson, any response to that?
No, Your Honor. Just that the city is prepared to proceed today. If they are required to be represented by an attorney, I would request that they retain someone well ahead of the hearing so that we don't have a similar situation where someone gets retained the morning of the hearing and the board is continuing it again.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm encouraging you to get an attorney as quickly as possible because the board is reluctant to continue things for more than twice unless there's an extraordinary reason, death or poor health or something extraordinary. Otherwise, we will dismiss your appeal. So please get an attorney as quickly as possible. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, that will be continued. The next matter is number 10, HA-2023-002415, 4245 Sansom Street, Ellen Sterrell, doing business as JDB Service Group Incorporated. Who's representing the city?
Hi, this is Chris Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. Who's representing the appellant? Anyone present representing Service Group Incorporated?
I don't believe anyone is going to be appearing on that case today. That violation was rescinded by the department.
Oh, so this is moot then?
It's moot. I apologize.
Okay, so let's note number 10 HA-2023-002415, 4245 Sansom Street is moot. Thank you. All right, let's move on to number 11. HA-2022-004361, 1019 Carlton Street, Reliable Fire and Mechanical, Inc. Zhang Feng Wei, who's representing the city?
Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Afternoon. Who's representing the appellant? Reliable Fire and Mechanical, Inc. Reliable Fire and Mechanical, Inc. Anyone responding to that call? Anyone, Mr. Wade, on the monitor that fits that description? Okay, thank you. Was your service made, Mr. Wade?
Yes, service was made.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Johnson, what is your preference?
The city is going to request that that matter be dismissed for failure to appear.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pincus, what time do we have?
2:04 p.m.
2:04 p.m. We will now poll the board regarding HA-2022-004361, 1019 Carlton Street, Reliable Fire and Mechanical Inc., Zhang Fin Wei, city affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
Thank you very much. Let's move down to number 15. HA-2022-003945, 725. Actually, we may have just dealt with this. My apologies. Karen Anderson. I think there was a continuance request. Who's representing the city?
Thank you, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter for the city of Philadelphia.
I believe we received a continuance request from the appellant. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that. I wouldn't oppose it. The city actually was just going to offer to resolve this case for a pretty de minimis amount. We sent a couple exhibits to the board, just a couple photos, and I included the email address that was shown. It was a little bit hard to read because this was just a scanned copy of the appeal form. I copied what I thought was the email address for the appellant, but it bounced back to me. So maybe I can talk to Mr. Wade offline to see if you have a better email address for the appellant. But anyway, I won't object to the continuance. I think
okay,
we could probably just resolve it.
We'll continue the matter then. Okay, we'll know that's continued. Thank you.
And Richie, if you could send me if you have a better email address for them. Thank you.
Phil, please do that.
Okay, the final one, number 17, HA-2022-005-247, 4300 Ridge Avenue, PNB Partitions Incorporated, Ronald Biglin, who's representing the city?
Chris Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Who's representing the appellant? PNB Partitions? PNB Partitions. If you're there, please unmute yourself, identify yourself, or if you're legal counsel, please identify yourself. PNB Partitions. Okay, Mr. Wade, was there service to this?
Service was made.
Service was made, okay. Your preference, Mr. Johnson?
The city requests city affirm for non-appearance.
Okay, the time, Mr. Pincus?
2:06 p.m.
2:06 p.m., thank you. We'll poll the board on HA-2022-005-247, 4300 Ridge Avenue, PNB Partitions, Inc., Ronald Biglin Jr., city affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
Okay, thank you very much. That means let's go back to the top, Mr. Wade, and begin hearing the remaining cases.
That was 2:07 p.m. That was called?
2:06.
Okay. Case number 4, hearing appeal HA 2023-000725, 5819 Rising Sun Ave.
Good
Okay,
afternoon, board members. Jim Kelly here on behalf of the city.
all right. Who's representing the appellant?
I am, Mr. Chairman, David Chandler for the appellant.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chandler.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Kelly, you have a witness today?
Yes, I do. It'll be Sanitarian Supervisor Wilkins.
Okay, Ms. Wilkins, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chandler, will you have witnesses today?
Yes, I will have Omar Alisar. He's one of the owners of the corporation, and he is with me today.
Okay, I'd like to swear him in now, please.
Sure. Yes. Can you raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today, sir, be the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. You can place your hand down. The way this will proceed is that Mr. Kelly will put on his case. Of course, the opposing attorney will have rights to cross-examine. After that's done, the appellant will put the appellant's case on, after which the board will vote. Mr. Kelly, will you please proceed?
Thank you. Ms. Wilkins, can you state your name for the record, please?
Jody Wilkins, sanitary supervisor for the City of Philadelphia Health Department, tobacco enforcement.
And you just answered my question. So what is your specific position within the health department?
I'll oversee the approvals and denials of the tobacco retailer permit for the sale of tobacco and e-cigarette products, and I also oversee the sales of tobacco to minors or those under the legal age of 21.
And how long have you been working there?
Over 12 years.
And in that job, what are your primary duties and responsibilities?
Overseeing review of tobacco retailer permits and issuing tobacco related violations for not having a permit and for selling tobacco to minors or someone under 21.
And I would just ask request to share my screen with
Yes.
the exhibits that have been previously marked and shared. Somebody just let me know if you can see that.
Yes, you just need to magnify just a bit, please.
Sure. Is that better?
That's a lot better. Thank you.
Yep. So Ms. Wilkins, are you able to see what has been marked as Exhibit 1, which is a letter dated January 9th, 2023?
Yes, I do. I see it.
And can you identify what this letter is?
This is the denial letter for DBK 88 Inc., 5819 Robinson Avenue for their tobacco retailer permit for the year of 2023.
Okay. And who sent this letter?
The health department.
Great. So bringing your attention down here to the sort of center of the page now, there's a list of dates. What are these?
Those are the list of tobacco related violations for sales of tobacco without ID, and those for selling tobacco without selling tobacco to minors that made the decision for them not to be able to renew their permit.
Okay. And this is for the calendar year 2023, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Are these instances of violations, or is this a complete list of violations?
That's the list of violations that made the determination of 3 violations or more in 2 years.
And just as an upfront matter, just to clarify for the board, does this letter on one of the CVN dates, is one of them a typo?
Yes.
Can you identify which one that is?
That is date 4/2/2022. That should be 10/6/21. That was written incorrectly.
Okay, and is that connected through the same CVN number, the 636-19931?
Yes.
Okay. So there's 2 that were in reality issued on October 6th, 2021?
Correct.
Okay, and what is the process like for issuing these tickets?
When we get we have undercover buyers that are contracted with the City of Philadelphia called the Health Promotion Council. They go into the stores to determine whether the clerk is going to sell to them or ask them for the ID so that they will be appropriately declined because they're underage. And so when there's the sale that occurs, then I get notified via email that there was an illegal sale.
Okay. So I would then direct, I'm sorry, how many CVNs are listed here? Is that 6?
This one, in terms of CVNs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But they're a total, when you look at the dates, then that's the terms of violations. So October 27th is considered 1, October 6th, December considered 2. And then December 29th is considered 3. June 7th is considered 4.
So there's 4 instances of violation?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll direct your attention down to what has been marked as the city's exhibit number 3. I'm sorry. Yes, number 3. That's the CVN on the right. Just to clarify for the board, I had prepared these earlier. Exhibit 2 was actually not included in the denial, so I won't be addressing that one today. Turning your attention to exhibit 3 here on the right side of the page, what are we looking at here?
This is the ticket for October the 27th, 2020. For selling tobacco without ID.
And can you just read the CVN number?
Oh, 6305367-5.
And who was this issued to? Who was the violator?
D8K 88 Inc.
Okay. And in your position and in preparation for today's hearing, did you access the payment or appeal information for these CVNs?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what was the status of this CVN?
This one was, let me see, that was 75. That was found liable in a mail hearing, a mail-in hearing, and it was paid.
It was paid?
Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify, do paid CVNs function as admissions of guilt for tobacco retailer permit purposes?
Correct.
Okay. And I'll scroll down now to exhibit number 4, which can everybody still see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
If I zoom out a little bit, okay. The exhibit on the left, exhibit 4, what are we looking at here?
On the left, this is October 6th, 2021, for the sale of tobacco to a minor. And it was issued on 1/21/22.
The date here on the top right is the 10/6/21, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what was the status of this CVN?
There was no hearing and it remains unpaid.
Okay. And turning to number 5, that would be exhibit number 5, that's CVN 636199931. What is that CVN?
This is for also October 6th, 2021, for sale tobacco without ID. This was an in-person hearing requested, but they did not show up and remains unpaid.
And moving down again on the next page, starting on the left with City Exhibit 6, that's CVN 636199942. What are we looking at here?
This is dated December 29th, 2021, for a tobacco sale to minor that was issued on 1/21/22.
And what was the status or outcome of that CVN?
This is remains unpaid.
Okay.
They didn't show up to a hearing that they had requested.
Okay. And on just the next one on the right, City Exhibit 7, that's CVN 636199953. Can you explain that one to the board?
Yeah, this is also dated December 29th, 2021, for a tobacco sale without ID, and issued on 1/21/22.
And what's the outcome of that CVN?
This were in-person hearing, they were found liable, and that it remains unpaid.
Okay, so there was a finding of liability on that CVN?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And finally, Exhibit 8, CVN number 641-68370. Can you just explain to the board what we're looking at here?
Yes, this is a tobacco sale without ID dated April the 7th, 2022. And then issued actually by myself on 7/6/2022.
Okay. And what was the status of this CVN?
This was a mail-in hearing and they were liable and it remains unpaid.
Okay, so I'm going to return up to City Exhibit 1. So just to make sure that we're clear, so there was one CVN issued October 27th, is that correct, of 2020?
Yeah.
And 2 CVNs from October 6th of 21?
Yes.
2 CVNs from December 29th of 21?
Correct.
And 1 CVN from June 7th of 22?
Correct.
And was the appellant either found liable or failed to appear or paid on all of those?
That's correct.
Okay. And is that what resulted in the denial of the tobacco permit?
Correct.
Okay. That's all that I would have for now, and I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Mr. Chandler, do you have any cross-examination?
Yes, Ms. Wilkins, if you could, I see that a hearing master prior to this hearing, found my client liable for only 2 violations. The sale without an ID on 12/29/2021 and a sale without ID on 6/7/2022. I just want to know, is that your, according to your record, is that what happened?
I'm sorry, I couldn't see your face there, so I couldn't get all the stuff that you just said. Can you repeat the violations that you were
Sure.
referencing?
The first one, at the review by the hearing master found our client liable on CVN 636-19953, which is the sale without an ID on December 29th, 2021, and also CVN 641-68370, sale without ID on 6/7/2022. And apparently, the Mass only found our client liable on those 2 counts. And does your record show that?
They were found liable on December 29th, 2021 ticket of 6361995-3, based on an in-person hearing that remained unpaid. And then they were found liable for June the 7th, 2022, 641-68370. They were found liable for that one that remains unpaid.
Then wouldn't our client be not liable for the other 4?
When a person does not show up for a hearing, then there is considered unpaid, and they're liable for it. And so unfortunately, apparently the business did not show up at the hearings that were set up for them.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Kelly?
Just a very brief redirect. Sanitarian Wilkins, if a appellant or if a business pays a ticket, is that considered an admission of guilt?
Yes.
And if they fail to appear, does that also function as a finding of liable?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. I would just ask to move city exhibits 1 through 9 into evidence.
So move. Thank
you.
you. Mr. Kelly, do you have any additional witnesses?
No, that's all. The city would rest for now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chandler, your opportunity.
Okay, I would call Mr. Alasar.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Okay. Mr. Alasar, could you
Oh, Mr. Chandler, would you have him spell his last name, please?
Oh, sure. I have it here. Alassar. His first name is Omar. Omar.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Masar, are you one of the owners of DBK 88 Incorporated?
Yes.
Then wouldn't it be necessary? I don't believe he's been sworn in yet. Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
I swore him in at the beginning. He swore.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
And were you cited with violations earlier this year in February and March of 2023?
I'm sorry, sir.
Were you cited with violations, tobacco violations in February and March of this year?
Yes.
And do you admit those violations or do you deny those?
Mr. Chandler, before
Yes.
you proceed, you said February, March of this year. Which year are you referencing?
2023.
Okay, because the violations that we have on record of 2020 and 21 and 22.
Okay, well, I'll withdraw my questions, but well, let me ask one follow-up question, Mr. Excuse me, sir. Are you aware that you were assigned violations in February of 2023 and March of 2023? Were you given violation notices for those dates?
Yes.
And you deny selling tobacco on those dates?
No.
You mean you no, you did
No.
not sell?
We no sell tobacco on this day.
Okay.
I would just object at this point. The dates that Mr. Chandler's discussing are not mentioned in the denial letter. I don't believe that they're really relevant for today's purposes. If we're talking about 2023 CVNs, the most recent one on the denial letter was June of 22.
Okay. Appeal sustained. Mr. Chandler, please direct your questioning to the violations at hand noted in the letter.
Right. And sir, do you wish to apply for another tobacco license?
Yeah, applying for another tobacco license. He say we can't give you a new one because you have violation. You sell it to underage. And I look on a day what he give me for this day to we silent. I look at camera, nobody in the store. When the time he give me, I look at type. I'm not seeing nobody in the store when he give me this day and this time.
So do you deny that you're the store sold the tobacco on the 6 occasions noted in this complaint?
No.
You deny it?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. Kelly, any cross-examination?
No, I don't have any cross.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question for Mr. Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kelly, you had placed a screen up that had the violations on it.
Sure, the CVNs.
No, just the letter that had them on it.
Sure, yeah.
Could you pull that back up, please?
Absolutely.
Now, could you go down? I mean, well, of course, you got to blow it up.
Zoom in, yeah.
Yeah. Now, could you zoom down some for me, please?
Down here?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
It states here the time frame for appealing these code violations has lapsed. No appeals was filed with regard to these violations. And so could you explain that to me?
Sure. So the remainder of the sentence is that and/or an appeal was filed and the violations were upheld by the Office of Administrative Review. And so I believe for some of these violations, the CVN 636-19920, which was issued October 6th, 2021, that was unchallenged and unpaid. The others were challenged, remain unpaid, except for the one which was paid. The 4 remaining ones were challenged. And at that administrative hearing, the appellant was found liable on the 2 from December of 21 and June of 22, and then failed to appear for 1 from December of 21 and October of 21. So there were hearings that were held, and those violations were upheld at those hearings, or the appellant failed to appear at that hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else, any final argument for Mr. Chandler and then Mr. Kelly?
Well, all I can say is that our client wants to reapply for a license, and as soon as he can. That's his goal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Today, the city is seeking a city affirm based upon the testimony and the evidence presented. I don't really believe that any of the evidence is controverted here. There were 6 CVNs issued to this property and this business, 4 separate incidents, which clearly meets the threshold for a denial of a tobacco permit under the city's code and health department's regulations. And so as a result, the city is requesting a city affirm today.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now poll the board regarding HA-2023-000-725 5819 Rising Sun Avenue, DBK 88 Inc. City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Thank you. The unanimous vote is city affirmed. Mr. Chandler, you've lost your appeal. You may, however, appeal this decision to the Court of Common Pleas if you choose to. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, and you excuse.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All righty, Mr. Wade.
Case number 5. Hearing appeal HA 2023-000724, 6100 Tarsdale Avenue, Joe's Mini Market.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, board members. Jim Kelly again on behalf of the city.
Okay, and who's representing the appellant?
Good afternoon. May it please the board, Joseph Vaccaro.
Mr. Vaccaro, how are you this evening?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Okay, Mr. Kelly, do you have a witness for today?
I do, yes. It'll be Sanitarian Supervisor Wilkins again.
Okay, let's go on the record and have her sworn in. Ms. Wilkins, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vaccaro, do you have a witness for today?
No, this would just be legal argument and cross-examination of Ms. Wilkins. Thank you.
Okay, already. Okay, Mr. Kelly, you may proceed.
Sure, thank you. Let me just give me one moment to switch over my exhibits.
Sure.
Well, I guess I can, Ms. Wilkins, can you please state your name for the record?
Jody Wilkins, Sanitarian Supervisor for the City of Philadelphia Health Department, Tobacco Enforcement.
And how long have you been working in that position?
Over 12 years.
And in that position, what are your primary duties and responsibilities?
I oversee the approval and denial of tobacco retailer permits for the sale of tobacco and e-cigarette products for our retailers. And also oversee the enforcement of selling tobacco to minors and those under the age of 21.
And I'm just going to request to share my screen with the exhibits that have been previously marked and shared.
Please.
Thank you. Just let me know if you can see that. I'll zoom in.
Yeah.
Okay, zoom in. Yep, please.
Okay. Ms. Wilkins, are you able to see this, which has been marked as Exhibit 1, a letter dated January 12th of 23?
Yes.
And what is this letter?
This is the denial letter for Joe's Mini Market Inc. on 6100 Torresdale Avenue for their 2023 tobacco retailer permit. It was a denial due to selling tobacco to those under 21.
And who sent the letter?
The health department.
Okay. And bringing your attention down towards the center of the page here, and I can zoom in if necessary. There's a list of dates and numbers here. Can you please explain what those are?
Those are the dates of violations that the business sold tobacco to a minor, and those for not checking the ID. There are 3 different instances: 8/31/21, 12/13/21, and March the 31st, 2022.
Okay. And so it's 3 different instances, each with 2 CVNs.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the process of issuing these tickets?
We have undercover buyers who are contracted with the City of Philadelphia called the Health Promotion Council, and they attempt to buy tobacco in our stores to see if that stores will be compliant to the law. And I do get, and once they sell illegally, I do get those notifications via email, and then we send staff out to issue the tickets.
Okay. And I'm going to scroll down to City Exhibit 2 in a second. So City Exhibit 2 is CVN 630-49980, which is on the left-hand side of the screen here. Can you just explain to the board what we're looking at?
Yes, so this is a tobacco sale to minor that was dated on 8/31/21. And then it was issued by myself, actually 10/7/21.
Okay, and who was this
And
issued
if I may interject, please, yeah, with regard to these 2 tickets, my client had already paid them. So
But
that
Mr. Vaccaro, that will be your opportunity on either on cross or as you make your legal argument, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sanitarian Wilkins, can you just, who was this issued to?
Joe's Mini Market Inc.
Okay, and in your position and in your preparation for today's hearing, did you access the payment information for these CVNs?
Yes.
And what's the status of this current CVN?
Both of them were paid.
Okay, we're just referring to 980, that one is paid?
It's paid.
Okay, and do paid tickets function as admissions of guilt on at least that CVN?
Yes.
Okay, directing your attention to Exhibit 3 on the right-hand side of the page, that's CVN number 630499991. Can you explain to the board what that is?
Yeah, the tobacco sale without ID for Joe's Mini Market dated 8/31/21.
Okay, and what's the status of that CVN?
And that's paid as well.
Okay, and so taken together, these were issued on the same day, is that correct?
Correct.
So would these constitute just one instance?
Correct.
Okay. Scrolling down to City Exhibit number 4, which is CVN number 636-07924. What are we looking at here?
This is a tobacco sale to minor dated 12/13/21. And it was issued on 1/20/22.
And what was the status of this CVN?
This is a mailing hearing, and they were found liable, and it's still unpaid.
Okay. Do you know when that hearing decision was made?
I would have to check my notes. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, I'll come back to it. Just moving on to the next exhibit, City Exhibit number 5, which is CVN number 636-07935. What are we looking at here?
This is a tobacco sale without ID dated 12/13/21. And so that was also on the same day.
Okay, and what's the status of this CVN?
This was also found liable by mail-in hearing, and
Okay.
it has not been paid.
It has not been paid, you said?
Correct.
Okay. And moving to City Exhibit 6, which is the one on the left-hand side of the screen, 641-72010. What are we looking at there?
That is a tobacco sale to minor dated 3/31/22 for Joe's Mini Market.
And what's the status of that CVN?
That was a mail-in hearing also, and they were found liable, but it has not been paid.
Okay. And finally, on the right-hand side of the screen, City Exhibit 7, CVN 641-72021. What's that?
That is a tobacco sale without ID dated on 3/31/22.
Okay. And what's the status of that CVN at this time?
That was also found liable in a mail hearing, and has not been paid.
Okay. And coming down here to City Exhibit 8, in your position, do you use the determinations of liable in order to issue the decision letters?
Yes.
Okay, and are you familiar with this document that's on the screen right now? I can zoom in if you need.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay, do you need me to?
Ms. Kelly, would you blow it up a little, just a
Sure,
bit, please?
sure.
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes, sir, that's better.
Okay. And Ms. Wilkins, can you tell us what this document is?
It is the letter that the Office of Administrative Review sent out to the retailer. Is dated 1/6/23 in response to their mail-in hearing. That hearing master reviewed the appeal, they reviewed their requests, and that was the disposition that they were found liable.
Okay, and I'm seeing in sort of the center of the screen here, there's 4 CVNs that are listed. Can you just identify, are these first 2 the CVNs from December of 21?
Let me just double check here.
That would be 924 and 935.
Okay. Yes, they are.
Okay, and the next one's 010 and 021. Which date do they correspond to?
3/31/22.
And just in the interest of time, what's the finding on all 4 of these CVNs?
They're all liable.
Okay, and does this reflect that any payment has been made on them?
No payment has been made.
Okay, and so I'll scroll back up to the top of my exhibit packet. So based on that, your records indicate that the 831 CVNs were both paid.
Correct.
and the remaining 4 CVNs from December and from March had findings of liability that remained unpaid.
Correct.
And is that what ultimately resulted in the denial letter?
Correct.
Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen and offer for cross.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vaquero.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wilkins, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The tickets issued for the March 31, 2022 violations, the ones ending in 202-1 and 201-0. You did not issue those tickets, correct?
Correct.
In fact, they were issued by another agent named M. Davis.
Yes.
Okay. And you were not there at my client's store when these alleged sales of tobacco products to minors had occurred on that date, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, close to a month had passed between the time that the violation allegedly occurred and the date that the tickets were issued, correct?
Correct.
And with respect to the 2 tickets for the December 13, 2021 alleged violations, tickets ending in 792-4 and 793-5, same questions. You did not issue those 2 tickets, correct?
Correct.
In fact, they were issued by an inspector named B. Prewitt, Prewitt.
Yes.
And close to a month, a little less than a month had elapsed between the dates of the alleged violation and the actual issuance of those tickets, correct?
Correct.
And you were not there at the store to witness with your own eyes and ears and your senses as to whether or not these transactions had taken place, correct?
Correct.
You had testified about a hearing that had taken place. Did you participate in that hearing in any way?
No.
Were you present at that hearing at any time?
No.
When did that hearing take place?
Let's see if I can find that out. Just a second. It says it's a mail-in hearing. So that is the Office of Administrative Review at their discretion determines when they're going to review it. And then you can speak to them about the actual date, because I do not know it.
Are you aware of any advanced hearing notices having been issued in advance of that hearing?
That's not my department.
So you don't know?
No.
Okay. Do you know if anybody testified at that hearing?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
Do you know if even the minor had presented any evidence?
Minors do not attend hearings.
Mr. Vaquero, I believe you're referring to mail-in hearing requests. And obviously, at least if I understand it correctly, if it's a mail-in hearing request, it's reviewed by the administrative officer that hears that reviews the matter, and there's no personal testimony. It's to review of the file on the record, whatever they have in front of them. It's a mail-in request. So I'm not sure where your questions are taking you.
Where the questions are taking us, Mr. Pincus and members of the board, is that we object to the whole process that the city has implemented and employed with the issuance and prosecution of these tickets.
Okay.
This is, and that's the essence of our appeal. We have a witness, and Mr.
Well, let's
Wilson,
do this, Mr. Carroll. Let's do this. Do you have any further questions of Ms. Wilkins? Then we can get to the argument in a moment.
One final question. Do you know who the hearing master was, Ms. Wilkins?
No, I do not.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I could save the rest for argument, Mr.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Vaquero, Mr. Kelly, do you have any further witnesses?
No further witnesses. I would just ask for my for exhibits 1 through 9 to be admitted into evidence.
So move. Okay, Mr. Vaccaro, do you have any witnesses? If you are relying solely on your argument, then what I would do, if you don't have witnesses, is to permit you to make your legal argument, and then Mr. Kelly will will do likewise after you complete it.
Thank you. Thank you. And in reliance of our legal argument, yeah, I would refer to the appeal documents that we had filed to this board, which has attached the chronological history of the correspondences that we had sent to the city challenging these tickets. And obviously, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we have no challenge to the first 2 tickets issued on for the 831 violation, since my client had paid them. Our issue is not with those first 2 tickets. Our issue is with the last 4 tickets for the alleged violations of 1213 and 331, 1213-21 and 331-22. The city's sole witness in this matter did not see the alleged violations, did not attend any of the hearings. He did not even issue the tickets. So we would ask that you give this witness's testimony the weight that it deserves. When my client was issued these tickets, we had sent our objections and our request for a hearing to the city. Those requests were attached to this notice of appeal. My client had never received any notice of an upcoming hearing, whether by mail, as Mr. Pincus had indicated, and as well as Ms. Wilkins had testified, whether by mail or by live. And it's my client's position that they need to have their basic due process rights safeguarded. You cannot have a hearing, you cannot have a process with the issuance of an alleged violation for an alleged violation of the municipal code without witnesses saying, I saw this gentleman sell tobacco products to a minor, as an example. Think of this by way of analogy as a traffic ticket. When those times that people are issued traffic tickets for a violation of the motor vehicle code, they're usually seen by either a state trooper or a Philadelphia police officer at an intersection. The police officer sees a driver making an illegal move, pass a red light, failing to come to a complete stop at the sign, whatever the violation may be. Police officer pulls over the driver and issues the ticket to the driver. If the driver wants to challenge it, they both go to traffic court and the police officer has to testify in front of the judge. I saw driver A pass the red light. I saw driver A fail to stop, whatever the violation may be. Those defendants have a right to face their accusers. Well, these defendants in these types of matters, such as Joe's Mini Market, my client, never got the opportunity to face his accusers. What we have is hearsay on top of hearsay on top of hearsay. And after a secret hearing of which my client was never notified of in advance, where he could have faced his accusers, where we could have, and throughout these proceedings, we have always demanded to be able to face our accusers, where we have been denied that right. At the beginning of the year 2023, my client finds out, not even me, because at that time I was still attorney of record. My client found out and not me. My client informed me that the city denied the appeals, and then we filed this appeal, which brings us here today.
Okay.
And this is a complete violation of my client's due process rights. What we ask is for, ultimately what we ask is for these tickets to be dismissed. But if this board is not inclined to dismiss the tickets, at least remand these tickets back to a hearing officer where we can have a proper hearing as to whether these violations occurred on March 31st and December 13th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Kelly?
Thank you. So I would just open by saying that I hope that the board is able to give Ms. Wilkins, I agree with Mr. Vaccaro that I hope that the board is able to give Ms. Wilkins' testimony the credit and the weight that it deserves, which I think is quite a lot. Her testimony was the only testimony that was provided today, and on our evidence was the only evidence that was provided today. The bottom line is that, you know, I'm not going to belabor the August 21 tickets. I think that those have been paid and we can move on from those. But with respect to the December and the March CVNs here, I understand that Mr. Vaccaro may have disagreements with whatever process was afforded to them in challenging the CVNs at the level of the Office of Administrative Review. But the fact of the matter is that that's not what's before the board today. What's before the board today is whether or not Ms. Wilkins' office, the health department, properly sent out this denial letter. The appellant was free to further challenge or appeal those OAR decisions that were made on January 6th of 23, and that there was a hearing. There was a request for a mail-in hearing that was taken, and I struggle to reconcile how Mr. Vaccaro's client could file the appeal, or Mr. Vaccaro could file the appeal, but then also be unaware of the hearing occurring or being unaware that it took place. Of course, Mr. Vaccaro is free to challenge OAR's decisions to BAA, but respectfully, they haven't. There are 6 CVNs here constituting 3 separate instances, and Ms. Wilkins' testimony, I think, stands on its own. I think that the only decision that the health department could make here, which again is the only question at issue, is to deny the retailer permit. I mean, there's 3 findings, 1 of which was paid and 2 of which clearly state that there was a hearing held and that there was a finding of liability. If there's an issue with witnesses, I mean, Mr. Vaccaro certainly had full opportunity to subpoena somebody else from the health department, somebody else from OAR if they needed to be present today. And so as a result, the city is respectfully requesting a city affirm. This just isn't the right forum to challenge the CVNs themselves. Those are a separate issue at this point, because the only question here today is just the denial letter, which I would submit was fairly issued. So as a result, the city is requesting a city affirm.
Thank you. I'd invite my colleagues to join me in executive session, and we will be back to vote. So, Mr. Kelly, we will go. Thank you. We're back on the record regarding HA -2023-000724 6100 Torresdale Avenue, Joe's Mini Market. Okay, after hearing the facts put on the record by Mr. Kelly and the argument by Mr. Vaccaro, we're at the point now where we can poll the board regarding the vote in this matter. City affirm. You're muted, Mr. Pincus.
Yes, I just arranged it. City affirmed.
City affirm.
City affirm.
City affirmed.
Thank you very much. The final vote is city affirm. Mr. Vaccaro, as you know, you're welcome to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas. We thank you for your participation and your patience with us today.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Okay, have a good day. Mr. Kelly, your witness may be excused.
Thank you. And that's my last case before the board as well.
Okay, you may be excused.
Thank you.
Mr. Wade, what do we have last?
Last case on the list. Case number 13, hearing appeal HA 2022-004404 9418 Bustleton Avenue. John Relvas.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, anyone here representing John Relvas? Anyone present representing John Relvas?
Mute it. Let me ask him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Who's speaking, please?
My name's John Relvas.
Okay, Mr. Relvas,
Yeah.
would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Place your hand down. Before we get started, Mr. Relvas, what is your relationship to this address at 9418 Bustleton Avenue?
It was a job that I was doing at the time.
And you doing it in the name of a company or in your individual name?
my individual name.
Okay. All right. So, and who's representing the city? And is that Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, it's Christopher Johnson for the city.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, the city is gonna call one witness today. It's Jose Figueredo.
Okay, Mr. Figueredo, please unmute and raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay, Mr. Johnson, you may proceed.
Mr. Figueredo, could you please tell the board where you're employed?
With the Audits and Investigations Unit at Licenses and Inspections.
And what is your position with that unit?
I'm the manager with the unit.
And what does that job entail?
So I oversee license investigations, which includes site inspections as part of the license investigations.
And as part of your responsibilities, does that unit oversee the work of contractors within the city?
That's correct.
And do you do investigations related to contractors' work within the city?
Yes, contractors, trade licenses, etc.
Okay. Are you aware of a situation that arose with Mr. Relvis?
Yes.
Can you tell us how that began?
So our unit, we do audit inspections of different sites, just random site inspections. And back, I believe it was September of last year, about a year ago, we conducted an audit at 9418 Bustleton Avenue.
And can you tell us more about that? What happened in that incident?
And so during that inspection, typically as part of when we do an audit, we look at who's on the permits. And when we locate either contractors or subcontractors, we also look to see if their licenses, insurances, just the typical requirements are up to date and valid. And at that time, we found that Mr. Relvis's license had expired previously.
At this point in time, I'm going to introduce a packet of documents that I've marked as City Exhibit C1, and I'm going to share my screen if it's okay with the board.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Figueredo, can you see the screen, the documents that I've shared?
Yes, I can.
Can you tell us what this first document is at page 1?
That's a license violation notice that we send out after we've issued violations.
And can you tell us what the date of the notice was?
9/28/2022.
And what was the violation that was found in this instance?
John Relvis, doing business as JR Custom Builders, was operating with an expired contractor's license.
And what was the fine to be imposed associated with that violation?
$1,000.
And does that match up with any particular code provision that requires an active license?
Yes, it does.
Do you know offhand what the code provision was?
Yes, it's Title IX Code of 1004-3A. No person or business entity of any type shall act as a contractor unless the person or entity possesses a current and valid license issued under this section.
I'm going to scroll down to the document that's marked page 3. Can you tell us what page 3 is within the packet?
Yes, that's a copy of the license that was issued to John Relvis on 11/19/2021.
And what was the date that that license expired?
9/25/2022.
And if I go down to page 6, what is the document at page 6?
This is also a copy of a license, and this one was issued on 10/21/22.
And how long is that license good for?
Until 9/25/2023.
So can you recall what was the date that the audit was performed?
I believe, I think it was either 9/27/22 or 9/28/22.
If you look at page 1 within the packet, does that help refresh your recollection?
Right, so yeah, that's the date of notice of night. Yeah, so the inspection would have been the day before.
So on 9/27, would that be 2 days after the expiration of his license?
That is correct.
And was this how did you decide to do this audit?
So we have generally we get with random audits, we have a list that's generated by the IT department. And basically we just kind of go down a list and go to different sites. And sometimes we find violations, sometimes we don't.
So would you say it's a random list?
Yeah, it's a random process.
Does the department send out any notification about the impending expiration of a license?
Not that I'm aware of. I think that responsibility falls to the license holder.
And are you aware what work was occurring at Bustleton Avenue address when the audit was performed? Do you know what that permit was for?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Do you know, was there an issued permit that was valid at the time?
There was an issued permit, yes.
Is that a yes or no? I didn't understand the answer.
Yes, there was a valid permit issued.
Okay.
I'm going to ask that C1 be admitted to the record at this time.
So issued.
I have no further questions for Mr. Figueredo at this time.
Okay, Mr. Relvis, do you have any cross-examination questions for Mr. Figueredo?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I just had a quick question. On the violation notice, it indicated that there was a business entity. Is that an LLC or a corporation? It was not clear. If anybody has the answer to
Sure.
that.
I think Mr. Relvis, at least my question to him, he indicated that he was just doing business in his own name. Mr. Relvis, would you confirm that, please? He was on he's muted, sir. You're muted, and we can't see your image. We lost him. Mr. Wade, is there anything we can do?
He appears to be on the phone now, but muted.
Hello?
Okay, Mr.
Hello.
Relvis. Mr. Relvis.
There we go.
Yeah, we need to see what happened. We need to see your image.
I have no idea. A phone call tried to come through, and I dismissed it, and all I have is now voice.
Okay, well, we need you to go back on the video. Turn your video on.
Hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can find Zoom. Okay. Okay.
Might be on the
Here we
lower
go.
left of your screen, Mr. Relvis.
There you go. There you go. Post it. Has to.
Now set a prompt. Okay.
Okay, there he is. Two things, Mr. Relvis. I don't know if you heard my previous questions. Legal counsel to the board raised the issue as to whether your company is an LLC or corporation, or is it? Are you doing business in your own name?
Prior to. My company name is JR Custom Builder, but I do business as John A. Relvis.
I guess we didn't hear you correctly. Mr. Relvis, is JR Custom Builders a fictitious name, or is that an LLC or a partnership or a corporation?
Neither. I'm a sole proprietor.
Okay, Ms. Emerson, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Relvis, you have an opportunity to cross-examine the witness, Mr. Figueredo. Do you have any questions for him?
Oh, the only thing that I would like to
No, I'm asking if you have a question. If you don't have a question, then you can put your case on in a minute. But do you have a question for him based on his testimony?
No.
Pardon me? I didn't hear you.
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Would you mind adjusting your screen? Yes, so we could see your face. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Johnson, any additional witnesses?
No, sir. At this point, the city would rest.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Relvis, it's your opportunity to tell us what you believe happened.
Well, as I said, I'm a sole proprietor. I usually do most of the work myself. And I'm not that great as far as with being computer savvy. And the only time that I find out when my license are expired is when I try to apply for another permit for another job somewhere, and then the flags come up and this one's expired, but everything else is good. I just think it would be a lot easier for individuals like myself to get a reminder on the Eclipse system as an email at least 30 days prior of an expiration, because when you have a trade license, a business license, the insurances, I keep my OSHA 30, everything up to date. And the only time I actually find out is when I need to go apply for another one. I always try to be 100% legal, always.
Mr. Relvis, how long have you been licensed in the city of Philadelphia?
Oh, long time.
Well, give me a date. Give me years. 20 years, 30 years?
Yeah, maybe 20 years plus.
Okay. Have you ever received a notice from the city notifying you when your license has expired?
Only after it has expired, say 30 to 40 days or something, you'll get something in the mail.
Okay. All right.
And it's too late.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions of Mr. Relvis?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Elvis, what we will do, like you to, if there's anything else you have that would help us make a decision in this matter, please share. Then I'll ask Mr. Johnson to give us the final argument from the city, after which we will vote. Mr. Relvis, you were speaking while I was speaking, so your voice was not heard. And so, because it's a court reporter, we can only hear one voice at a time. And so now that I'm finished, please share with us anything else you have.
I would just like to see if you can help me with this matter, and also recommend to the Eclipse system that it could also help people like myself that are not as savvy, that we can get a notice either by mail or by some sort of email or something, that prior of the expiration. When I apply for my licenses, I think it's good to apply everything at the same time. So when if something's about to expire, everything's about to expire. Where every time, say 3 months from now, if one license is expired and you have all your other licenses that are fine, unless you get a notice and you're still working, the only time that I actually find out is when I try to apply for another permit somewhere else. And then here I go again. I got to go call the insurance girl and say I just called her, say 3 months back for one of the other licenses. And it becomes kind of frustrating. You know, you got to always try to, it'd be nice to do all of them all in one shot at the same time, versus where they break it up in pieces, a couple months here, 3 months there, 4 months there.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful for everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Thank
I would say, well, I have some sympathy for Mr. Relvis. I would also say that the code is very clear that it requires the contractors working in the city to all be licensed, and it is a violation if they're doing work while they don't have an active license. And that was what resulted in the violation in this particular case. I would say that it is possible, and it's quite probable, that other entities avoid this problem by setting a calendar reminder for themselves when they know their license expiration is coming up. And I would remind that we showed the document that Mr. Relvis had a license that was valid until 9/25 of 2023, which was just a couple of days ago. Hopefully he is remembered this year to renew his license without prompting by the city, unlike last year, but we're asking for city affirmed.
Okay. Thank you very much. If you don't have any additional questions, we've heard the testimony. We will now poll the board on HA-2022-004404, John Relvis, 9418 Bustleton Avenue, City affirmed.
City affirmed, although I extend my sympathy to Mr. Relvis because he was late and didn't file, but it is a burden on him to make sure his licenses are current. So my vote still is city affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous vote, city affirmed. Mr. Relvis, the vote is unanimous that you lost your appeal. You may appeal our decision to the Court of Common Pleas. If you need information as to how to do that, please call the office. The number is on that letter that you received from us, particularly on the decision letter, and they will give you information that you need. I'd like to add one additional thing, Mr. Relvis. What you were asking the board to do is outside the purview of the board. We don't make policy. We're restricted to rule strictly on what's presented based on the existing code requirements. You have a good argument in terms of how the city should operate, but unfortunately, we can't make a decision based on what should happen. We can only make a decision based on what's required as of today. And so I encourage you to take that further, talk to your association, your contractors association, and get others together to appeal to the city to make a change in administrative process in terms of how these things are handled. But within our authority, we have limitations that are set by code. So thus we've had a decision for today. We wish you the best of luck in the future.
All right, thank you. So in order for me to reappeal this, I got to go to the court.
Yeah,
Correct?
the next level up is the Court of Common Pleas. And you would have to get a
Okay,
lawyer
so-
I would recommend you get a lawyer. You can pro se represent yourself, but I would recommend you get a lawyer if you do that.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day. All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Mr. Wade, what do we have next?
That's all.
That's all? Okay. I just need the board to join me in executive session for a few minutes and we'll be done.